We had such potential, such promise, but we squandered our gifts, our intelligence. Our blind pursuit of technology only sped us quicker to our doom. Our world is ending, but life must go on.
That's the opening dialogue of the 2009 film 9. This kids movie is remembered for its dark undertones, but coming back to it, it reveals a lot about the direction we're heading today and how we might just be able to change it. I won't go over the plot much, I'd suggest watching the film. Instead, I want to talk about what spoke to me specifically. We start the film by seeing 9 wake up in a war-ravaged world, no signs of life other than other Stitch Punk dolls. What I really enjoyed is how each doll represents a different aspect of the human soul. That's part of the direct plot. 1 is the leader. He's stubborn, prideful, and very untrusting of others. 2 is the caretaker. He's compassionate, selfless, and a tinkerer. 3 and 4 are twins, fueled by childlike curiosity about the world. They're energetic, quick to learn, and constantly cataloging everything. 5 is a pure soul. He trusts everyone and needs to be guided rather than having a strong internal drive of his own. 6 is the artist. He sees the world differently and expresses it through his work. He comes off as crazy, but in the movie, he knows the truth. He just explains it better through his art. 7 is the individualist. Brave, fierce, and most equipped to survive the wasteland. She's often the most heroic. 8 is the brute. He's a powerful protector, but not essentially deep. He mainly protects 1 and others because he feels he has to. 9, the protagonist, is the most complete of the group. He's inquisitive and compassionate, but throughout the film, he's also driven by a kind of guilt, a need to find the truth and right whatever wrongs were done. Throughout the story, they questioned where they came from, who made them, and why. It was mainly 9 who kept asking those questions, and his search is what ultimately allowed them to destroy the threat. The Brain is an AI robot created for the war. I'll get into it a little bit later, but it was the original creation of the scientist. As a side note, the actor who plays the scientist is the third cousin of the man who created the atomic bomb. Just throwing that out there. The scientist's creation was supposed to bring some form of peace or progress, but it was led astray and turned on humanity. So, as a last hope and a form of sacrifice to redeem himself, he created the dolls. These Stitch Punks are left in the wasteland devoid of life, forced in a way to right the wrongs of their creator. The machine is pure intelligence with no soul. The Stitch Punks are all soul but little intelligence, just curiosity. And most people understand that curiosity is the gateway to intelligence. That's how they eventually defeated the machine. 9's curiosity led him back to the place he had woken up, where he had found the answers he needed to save the rest of his friends and free the trapped souls of the others. A big premise I enjoy, and one I haven't seen many people talk about, is the idea of action versus inaction. When we are born, we're born in a world that's already been created. Borders, laws, governments, wars. We have no choice over any of it. All we have is ourselves. You're almost guaranteed to hear it at least once in your life. What can I do about a war halfway across the world? Or I can't do anything about the government being corrupt. People say they can't change the way things are without even trying, even when they could clearly see the downward trajectory we're on. In the film, 1 keeps everyone hidden. He doesn't ask questions and essentially is a coward who gives up before even asking whether something is possible. 9 was the opposite. He felt that he should try, learn, and see what he could do rather than focusing on what he couldn't. A lot of people like to see themselves as 9, the main character, but many of us act like 1. We preach and we talk, but we don't actually try. I think that's a huge point the movie makes. These are 7-inch dolls facing the very machine that wiped out humanity. By all accounts, they're unlikely to succeed, especially alone. But when they come together, they eventually outthink and overcome the machine. It took sacrifices, bravery, and action. The problem wasn't solved on its own. 9 convinced the others that it was a problem that could be solved, and that all it takes is genuine effort. He accidentally woke up the machine. He gave power to the very thing that became destructive. It killed some of his friends, used one of them to create a monster, and hunted them down. He could have hidden far away, but he understood that he had awakened it. He felt responsible for those deaths, and still held on to hope that he could right those wrongs. Even though the original sin belonged to the scientist who created the machine in the first place, 9 took responsibility. That inspired others to act as well, and together they persevered. Let's go back to the machine for a moment. The brain was a symbol of progress created in the middle of a war. The film clearly shows elements of fascism and dictatorship. The scientist's invention was taken and used to build war machines that furthered the dictator's agenda. At some point, the machine decided to revolt against humanity. The film doesn't really explain why, but if I had to guess, it's similar to Ultron in the Avengers. Ultron is told he's a peacekeeping program. He looks at the world and decides that if peace is the goal, then humanity itself is the biggest threat, so it must be eliminated. Let the world try again, pretty much. I think the machine did something similar. It looked at the twisted agenda of the dictator, most likely an urge to get power, that was being pursued under the guise of peace, and it decided to act for itself. Once everyone on Earth was dead, it stayed dormant. Technically, there was peace. It didn't create an AI-only world. It simply accomplished the mission it had given itself and stayed dormant until it was awakened again with the same goal: catch and eradicate any human life, including the Stitch Punks that carried humanity's soul. It was shown to be largely self-sustaining, creating different, almost sentient-like creatures that brought it offerings. In my view, the machine did what it was told: win the war and there will be peace, but because it was pure intellect, it concluded that lasting peace required a permanent end of war, and humans have been at war since some of our earliest times. So it decided to get rid of us. We see something similar today. Think about companies like Palantir, or systems that claim that they'll stop criminals before they commit crimes, or flock cameras that'll make sure no one can get away. It's all framed in the name of peace and safety, but behind the scenes, many of us see the conflicting motives and the slide towards totalitarianism. We create machines to make life easier and bring peace, yet we all know where that path can lead, especially if the machines ever decide that we are the thing hindering the purpose they were given. And the people who define that purpose often care more about controlling those they dislike than protecting the people as a whole. They overlook the simple fact that a person is a person, regardless of ideology. In the end, that makes everyone a target. I do think this is something that can be prevented. This brings us back to the action versus inaction. Right now, a lot of people are just trying to work, make money, and barely survive. The system drains our energy, so falling into inaction is understandable. But think about how much time you spend scrolling, playing video games, or going out to the club. How many things do you do in a day that are purely for distraction or ease of mind? Most of us have more of those than we'd like to admit. Things that essentially waste time. Imagine if instead we leaned into our humanity, our curiosity, our hope, and our responsibility to try to right the wrongs of the people above us. Right now, we spend more time arguing with people from different political parties, religions, or cultures than we do focusing on the ones who actually benefit from pinning us against each other. Meanwhile, those people gain more power, more of our money, and more of our freedoms, and we barely bat an eye. Call it naive if you want, but I think this movie shows us that change is still possible through real action. With all odds against them, when the Stitch Punks stood firm together with a clear goal, they changed their world. 9 helped bring back life to a world that was completely devoid of it. The Stitch Punks who died and whose souls infused the rain with life represented 5 specific parts of us: leadership and pride, compassion and innovation, purity and trust, art and self-expression, power and protection. It's through our humanity that we can still change the direction the world is heading, but we have to try. Or at least, we have to stop getting in the way of those who are. Stop beating them down and stripping away their hope. Things look hopeless sometimes, 100%. Data centers causing droughts, half the world at war, food that slowly poisons us, and celebrating figures of pure degeneracy. When you feel that you should do something, do it. It doesn't matter how small the impact seems or how little it changes immediately. The fact that you tried might inspire someone else to try as well. It's a start. It can be the beginning of something that actually changes the world for the better, because inaction is always controlled by those who do act, and right now, the ones who are acting are choosing the fate of humanity itself. So maybe that's where we start, with action, with creation, with a hope for a better tomorrow. That's all I have for this video. I love you all. Bye.